Hello, and welcome to our show. We're so glad you joined us today. Get paper and pencil because we've got some special information. This is Angie, and I'm Darleen Pigford.
And I'm Greg Baur, and we've got our resident dog over here, Wicket, Mr. Excitement as we like to call him. And we got a couple of upcoming shows that we want to tell our viewers about.
Okay.
We'll talk about grooming your dog and your cat.
And your cat.
That is going to be an interesting one. And
Yes, it
also,
will.
we have a show coming up on animals in the Native American culture, which I think our viewers will find I know I'm going to find very, very interesting. But what's on tap today, Darleen?
Well, Greg, we've been wanting to do this show for a long, long time.
Yes, we have.
So we're going to plant our feet firmly and talk about plants and pet safety.
So-
and it's a topic that really is very important to any pet owner, particularly if you have an indoor cat or dog. So introduce our guest, Greg.
I should be happy to. So, by the way, plant your feet. There was no pun intended
Oh,
on that,
no.
was there?
No,
okay.
none whatsoever.
We're really happy this afternoon to have with us Ms. Kathy Keeney, who is from Paducah, and she's a horticultural expert, and she's well known through the community and widely respected for her knowledge about plants, and she's going to share some of that knowledge with us today, and so I think we're in for a real treat.
Yes.
Welcome, Kathy. So glad you joined us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank
Glad
you
to be
for
here.
We're so glad to have you and all of your sample. You know, Kathy, I've had cats and dogs, I guess, for 10 or 15 years, and I never even thought about the plant safety. And I guess I read about it or something, and now I see how important it is. You know, I could have lost an animal because not knowing. Tell us, let's start off with, what are some safe indoor plants that we could have that are not dangerous to our dogs and cats?
Well, in 1989, NASA did a study about how to protect homes from sick house syndrome,
Okay.
and they came out with a list of 17 to 19 plants that were really, really good for
your environment.
recycling the air in your home. Well,
okay.
that got a lot of people interested in putting houseplants into their homes. Well, whenever you already have residents in the home that are four-legged, you know, you need to make sure that the plants and the pets can cohabitate safely.
That's right.
And some of the plants that they had listed weren't necessarily that friendly. They had listed, of course, ferns, which are very friendly.
Okay.
I brought with me one that is really a neat plant. It's called a rabbit's foot fern.
Okay.
The real ferns are good. Now, asparagus ferns and the foxtail fern, which are not true ferns, are not.
Okay.
But things like your rabbitfoot, your Boston fern, sword fern, fishtail ferns, they're all perfectly good and healthy, very safe for your pet.
But mine would chew that one right. It wouldn't have a leaf left.
Well, that's why what we do, and we'll have this one hanging. It's on a piece of driftwood, and we hang it. That
Yes.
keeps it kind of out of the reach of little overly curious little critters, and you can actually start it from this.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yes,
neat.
that's the fun part. You have to get a little bit better than even what I am. My mother-in-law does that. I don't even try that anymore. But they suggested palms, like your areca palms, your reed palms. Those are excellent, and they are very, very pet friendly.
Okay.
But most of the other plants that they had weren't really that friendly. So they got to looking at different plants that you could use. And some of them, of course, begonias. A lot of people think that begonias are just outdoor plants.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no, this one is one of the originals that most people might have tried to grow back in the 1800s. This is known as an eyelash begonia. And this is an easy one to grow. In fact, if you want to, I'll give you a couple of leaves off of this one, and you can plop it in water or plop it in soil, and it'll take root. It's very easy to get started. It has little blooms on it, little tiny inconspicuous blooms. This one is a Rex begonia, of course, and it has beautiful leaves. perfectly safe around the cats. The thing is, you wind up having to basically watch out for the cats batting at it. This one, of course, hangs down quite a bit, so that becomes a bit of a dangle hazard. But I have this one hanging quite high up.
Right.
So it's not really that much of a dangling hazard for the cats that we have. Another good one is Christmas cactus.
Oh, really?
Yes. It does not have thorns.
Okay.
It blooms,
All right.
and it blooms during an off season, so you have beautiful blooms during either around Thanksgiving or Christmas. Mine's a little confused. Mine at home just finished blooming. So
It does have a little red bloom, doesn't it, usually?
red, pink, orange, white,
Oh, really? Okay. I've seen
even yellow.
Oh.
There's all sorts of
Christmas
colors. It's a South American native. Very safe, very easy to start.
Uh-huh.
Just break off a little branch, stick it down in the soil, and it will root.
Okay.
And easy to take care of.
How about catgrass?
That's an important thing, easy to
Cat
take care of.
grass.
Yes.
Yes, actually it is. And it's best to keep it inside on a windowsill where it gets quite a bit of sun but not direct sunlight.
Okay.
The best way to do it is put it in a planter and then turn the planter about every 3 or 4 days. It'll
All right.
start growing towards the light, and that way it won't get too tall and leggy.
Okay.
Generally, what cat grass is either wheats or oat seeds.
Right.
Very good, very nutritious for the animals. Dogs like it, cats like it. The good part is that it's very nutritious for them. The bad part is they do tend to throw it back up.
Okay.
But that's because they're not that familiar with actually, their digestive tracts are not suited for greens.
I see.
So while it won't hurt them,
It won't hurt them.
It just is not
They
digestible.
They do get the chlorophyll from it, and that's what's
That's-
good for them.
Right.
Okay.
And we don't want to grow that outside because of,
Well, you
have-
get a lot of extra things from the outside that might not be healthy for your animals.
exactly.
You can get neighboring animals that come in and
Uh-huh.
may
Uh-huh.
relieve themselves, or and you have issues with that.
Oh,
So
yes.
it can become an issue. Another plant that a lot of people think is very, very fussy, but really isn't,
And they're so
is a
beautiful.
simple little orchid.
Okay.
Now, a lot of people are fussy. They think, well, how on earth am I going to keep an orchid around a bunch of cats or dogs?
Right.
Well, do you have a hurricane lamp? Just put it around the orchid.
Right. Or
Okay.
on a
It becomes a
shelf
display.
that they can't get to.
Exactly. In Victorian times, they used Wardian cases, which were little glass greenhouses that they put over the top of them.
Oh, okay. All right.
And that's how they enclosed special plants. They had a little indoor greenhouse.
Well, I'll tell you, we're just
Wow.
beginning to scratch the surface on this, but it's time for us to take a short break and listen to a happy tale. This is about a neat little cat named Silas, and I think our viewers will really enjoy listening to this little tale. So, listen up.
Hi, my name is Silas, and I am a 2-year-old male orange tabby cat. Miss Barbara Thomas found me at a rescue shelter and took me home. Life in her apartment is just wonderful. I love to sit in the window seat and watch the birds. Sometimes when she goes outside to sit, I will go with her and sit beside her chair. The next door neighbor has a little black dog, Maggie, and we are best of friends. We love to run and play with each other. Barbara says that when someone is in the hall that I perk up my ears and run to the door. I am such a lucky cat because of Miss Barbara, and I have a forever happy home. I pray the same for all of the other homeless cats in the world.
Welcome back. we hope that you're enjoying this good information that we're getting this afternoon from Kathy Keeney about plants that are good for your animals and plants that aren't so good. And in our first segment, we talked about plants that were good.
But may I interrupt and just want to say,
Yes, dear.
that was a great little story about Silas.
Oh, yes,
And about
yes.
and Miss Barbara Thomas. This was special for you, and we know that the rescue people came to her, but she has Silas, and Silas has a wonderful home. And Miss Barbara, that was just for you and Silas. Now, Greg will return.
I was going to say
She
all
was
those.
my special friend.
I was going to say all those things, but you beat me to it. So
Yes, I
anyway,
did.
we're talking with Kathy Keeney. As I said, we were looking at safe household plants. Now we're going to take a look at ones that maybe not so good to
Okay.
have in your house for your pets. So, Kathy,
Well,
what are
actually, amazingly enough, this one is very, very helpful for us, isn't
Yes,
it?
it is.
Aloe vera.
Right,
We all know that if we get a burn
right.
or we're cut, we can take and pinch off a little segment of the leaf, and the juice of it will help to heal.
Right.
yeah?
Not so with our pets.
Oh,
It's very bad because it's in the lily family.
okay.
It's very, very dangerous for our pets.
Ooh,
Aloe vera will give them extreme stomach distress.
ooh, okay,
So we don't want to give them the opportunity to be around it.
okay.
If we do want to have aloe vera plants, we want to make sure that it's protected from them,
Right.
as well as them protected from it.
So it means it has to be hanging or on an isolated shelf.
An isolated shelf, or like I said before, a wardian case, or put it under a glass cloche
Yeah.
or something along
Right.
that line. Something where it will be well secured.
Exactly.
Which brings me to something that's very, very, it's very surprising.
What's that?
Probably the worst house plant that we can have around at this point in time is Easter lilies in the house.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yes, those are
And-
lilies.
Easter lilies are extremely poisonous. Now, I'm not talking the outdoor day lilies.
Daylilies, okay.
Day lilies are perfectly fine because they're not in the lily family.
Okay. Huh.
Um,
Interesting.
they're perfectly edible. Every bit of those, day lilies are perfectly edible. But the true lilies are deadly
Okay.
for animals.
All right.
They're not deadly for humans, but they are deadly for
Okay.
animals, especially cats.
You hear that, Angie?
Angie needs to watch out because if she brushes up against a lily
Oh, really? Just brush it.
and gets the pollen on her
Oh,
and then goes to clean herself,
gotcha.
Oh, okay.
just
She's
cleaning
ingest-
herself, ingesting the pollen,
Ooh, I never
can
thought about
cause her enough distress that it could throw her into kidney failure.
I think it's important that our viewers recognize that it can be dangerous just by, as you say, cleaning yourself with a pollen and not just eating it.
Right.
So it's
Just being around
Just
it.
being around. Oh, good. That's
Now,
I didn't know
if
that.
if somebody brings in lilies, you can always destaminate them, which means to take off the little pollen pods.
I gotcha.
okay.
And that will help.
But it won't guarantee all of it.
Right, but it'll help.
It'll help. Okay.
It'll help. Be sure and wear gloves whenever you do that, rubber gloves, because that pollen is extremely sticky
Gotcha.
and it will stain.
All right.
Trust me, I know.
Okay. How about the Christmas poinsettia? We hear a lot about that.
The Christmas poinsettia. Oh, how badly maligned that
Oh, okay,
poor
that's
thing
what-
is. Actually, it winds up, because of it, it is not nearly as poisonous as what everybody thinks.
Okay.
It winds up getting the bad rap because of the fact that it has a latex sap,
Okay.
which is a milky sap.
All right.
All plants that have a milky sap, rubber tree, your ficus tree, any of the euphorbias, and even this one, which is a croton,
Okay.
they all are toxic to some extent because of the latex, which they have as their sap.
Oh,
Well,
Now,
that's-
this one is far more toxic than the poinsettia.
But I'd be attracted to that one because it's the the texture of the leaves and the
It is.
variation. I mean, it's
isn't it
gorgeous.
gorgeous? And once the sun hits it, you wind up with these deeper colors, and the new leaves have this yellow. It's just very showy. So this is one that I don't mind using outside in the garden.
Okay.
In an area where it's going to be up and away.
Gotcha.
I'm going to use this in a raised planter situation.
Gotcha.
Where it's up on a stalk
Okay.
to where the cats cannot get to it. Unless they really, really want to climb a lot.
Yeah. Oh. Well,
But poinsettias are not an issue.
okay. All right.
Crotons are far more of an issue.
Okay.
They do cause more trouble, but even at that, not as badly as most. We do have a lot of problems with calancho, which is a succulent that most people have in their houses, and most people get them in floral arrangements.
Okay.
Bright, pretty colors.
Yes.
Pretty blooms, but they have a lot of toxins in them.
Okay.
I know we on our list was what, Dieffenbachia?
Dieffenbachia, also known as dumb cane.
Okay.
It causes, because of the metals that it contains, and also some of the oxalates, it can cause actual internal bleeding.
Ooh.
And some of these plants do. They will do that. They will cause internal bleeding, and they can cause spasms. They can cause heart arrhythmias,
Goodness.
tremors.
Oh my.
We're talking extremely
Serious.
Yes. Yes.
serious reactions.
Well, in general, let's say we have a plant and our animal has gotten sick or something. What would you do? What's your best advice?
The first thing I would do, I would grab my pet, I would grab the plant, and I would go to my vet.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
And I would call them up any time of the day or night, because
Exactly.
these are our second children.
Absolutely.
That's exactly
I
right.
mean, my daughter would say they come before her sometimes, but not quite true. Not quite true.
Well, then, actually, if you're careful and do a little bit of research ahead of time, you can avoid an awful lot of problems by knowing which plants are not good.
Well, not just which plants are not good, but which parts of the plants are not good.
Oh, okay.
Where can we go to get more information about good plants and not so good plants?
I found an interesting publication from the University of Nebraska on houseplants and their toxicities.
Okay.
That was a great one. So if you just Google University of Nebraska and houseplants and toxicity, you'll get that.
Okay.
Another one is aspca.org.
Okay.
They have a wonderful video that tells you about plants and houseplants.
Oh, they even show you pictures of. Oh,
Yes,
that's excellent.
They have
yes.
a video, and one of them that they will tell you about is one called Cycad, or sago palm. And I noticed that a lot of people are buying them now because they're really very easy to take care of. But the nutlet, which is the base, is extremely poisonous to dogs, cats, and even horses.
Ooh.
Okay.
Not that horses are going to get inside your house.
No,
very often,
but all right. Now give us that website again.
aspca.org.
Yeah. I went to that website and I printed it out and I went shopping for some indoor plants, and I found one, and then when I got it home, my Callie just loves to eat on it, so it's not doing a good job of surviving, but it's not hurting her at least.
That's always fun.
Yes.
Well, and one of the things that I think our viewers do have to be careful of is that many times when you go in to buy a plant, that while the floral shop or the garden shop or wherever may think that they're quite knowledgeable of these, they're probably not going to be able to tell you which plants are good for your animals
That's
and which
right.
are not.
Well,
They may or may not.
Yeah,
they
that's
may
what
or
I'm
may
saying.
not. How many of you are out there getting spring flowering containers right now?
Yeah.
How many of you know that daffodils, tulips, and amaryllis are all poisonous?
Okay.
Yes.
So if we brought them
But for the daffodils and tulips, the bulb is poisonous.
Ooh.
The amaryllis itself is poisonous.
Okay. But the blooms of the daffodil and the tulip are not poisonous,
Are
just the
they?
bulbs?
No,
So-
they're not heavily poisonous.
Okay.
They are slightly poisonous. My cat tends to like to romp in them.
So-
we understand that too.
Yeah, so what we're saying is when you do go and select plants for your house, you need to be aware of those that might be harmful to your pets, and if they are, you make sure that they are in places where your pets cannot get to them, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So-
I mean, having daffodils that you've picked and put them in the windowsill where the cat can't get to it, or
Yeah,
hopefully can't get to it.
Or on top of a fridge that's in a corner, or on a shelf, or in a hanging.
Mortian cases work great. If you have an old-fashioned cloche, which is a glass-shaped bell that has the knob on top, you can put spacers underneath to where air can still get underneath, and that makes it look very, very nice, very showy. That way, plants that are iffy or cut arrangements, it gives them a little bit more of a
Visual appeal.
yes, a visual appeal, and also it's more protective.
Well,
Plus,
we're-
there's less of a chance that the cat will knock over the
Exactly.
Well, I'll tell you, we're just getting along fantastically well with our
wonderful
discussion.
information.
But we want to take another short break now
Okay.
and hear a happy tale about Miley, a sweet little dog, and I think you'll enjoy his story too.
Okay.
This is a happy tale about Miley, a 3-year-old female Jack Russell Pug mix. About 2 years ago, Miley was abandoned at a groomer. Novice Buffo saw Miley and fell in love with her. Novice took Miley home, and she's had a great life ever since. Miley really enjoys playing fetch with a ball and loves to ride in the SUV. In fact, Miley will sit in the car for hours thinking that she's going to go for a ride. Novice says that Miley has a very shrill bark when she wants something. Thank you, Buffos, for giving Miley a forever happy home.
Welcome back. We hope that you're enjoying this program today, and I hope you enjoyed that happy tale about Miley, a special little dog who happens to be related to Darleen and I in the sense that he's a grand dog.
He's our grand dog.
And he just has a wonderful home with his folks and our grandsons.
Alex and Nick. So Nick, Alex and Nick, this one is for you. Well, Greg, let's return back to
Okay.
plants, and plant pet safety. Let's go to the outdoors. Okay.
Okay.
And the big issue we usually have with the outdoor is that dog is visiting my lawn or my garden. That cat is digging in my lawn or garden. Do you have any ways to help me have my yard and my garden, but yet be friendly to my neighbor's cat or dog?
There are several different things out there, and amazingly enough, most people might recognize these,
All right.
and they might actually think that I have lost my last brain cell.
Okay.
Other people will know I've never had one.
Okay.
And I'll have many people who will give the amen chorus there.
Okay.
Okay.
These are gumballs,
All right.
and if you feel them,
Ooh, this, yeah, sticky.
very prickly.
Yeah.
And you notice how Miley has buried her head.
Wicked here.
She's
yeah.
like, oh, that's not
Yeah.
good. That's not good. I
Okay.
don't want that.
Okay.
Don't get into those
She
wicked.
recognizes that that is not a nice thing.
Okay.
You wouldn't want to play with that, Angie? Okay.
No,
Now
she
what-
will not.
So what do I do with those?
What you do is you take some of these and you put them in an aluminum pan
Okay.
and put them on your grill whenever you first start your grill up
All right.
and heat them up
Oh,
to kill the seed in them.
okay.
And then you do that for about 20 minutes, and then you put them in your garden as a mulch.
Oh,
as a ground cover.
Okay, just as they are. You don't crush them up.
Just as they are.
Okay,
The
and
cats or the dogs, they'll put their paw on it. They'll back out.
gotcha.
They will back out.
Okay, but you have
That's an
to
organic method.
sterilize them. You have to heat them up
Yes,
before this
you
will
want
work.
to do that, or you'll wind up with little gumball trees, sweet gums all over the place. And I don't want anybody to say that I caused them to have gumball trees coming all over the place. No, I told you to sterilize them.
That's right. Okay.
Now, one of the things I do want to preface on any of these plants that I've said are pet safe. I had a cat who, bless her heart, developed an allergic reaction
Yeah.
to some safe plants.
Yes, that can happen.
Yes, like people, animals
are
can have
exceptions.
allergies, and that's something that we've all had to deal with.
Okay. Good point.
But for the most part, these plants are safe that I have mentioned. up to
Exactly.
now.
In general, are
Yes.
safe for the right.
But another thing that works well is to use chicken wire and
Oh,
put it
that
either
sounds
right
great.
at the surface or just below the surface. And if a cat goes to scratch,
Oh, they won't
and the-
like that.
they'll catch their claws on the wire or their pads on that wire.
Uh-huh.
It'll drive them nuts. They'll leave
back
it alone.
off.
They'll leave it alone.
They'll leave it alone. Uh-huh.
There are water sensors.
I don't.
You know the motion detector lights?
Right.
Well, they have them hooked up to water faucets.
Okay.
Oh.
And it will splash animals
Oh,
you
that
go.
would work.
unless it's a water dog. And then I'm sorry, you're just out of
Oh,
luck.
that's right.
We had a dog that just dearly loved water, and he'd go and he'd set that thing off just to
Just to
splash
have
in the water.
fun, right?
Well, I'll tell you, we are just doing wonderfully well. The problem is we're beginning to run a little short on time. Kathy, could we kind of summarize some things for our viewers now as to real quickly what are safe plants, what are unsafe plants, and that kind of thing, and anything else that you'd like to have our viewer remember?
Well, plants in the lily family.
Okay.
If they're true lily family, keep them away from your pets.
Okay.
One thing that we didn't touch on is if you have horses,
Yeah.
red maples are bad.
So we're talking else. Okay.
So red maples will kill a horse,
Ooh. Ooh.
and most people do not know that.
All right.
So that's even for the large pet owner.
Okay.
Okay.
If we have small plants and we're not sure, ASPCA.org.
Excellent.
Cat Fanciers Association also has a good website. They have quite a few pet safe
Guidelines.
guidelines.
Uh-huh.
And if
Or-
you have any further questions,
How can our viewers contact you to get further information if they so desire? For example, a telephone number.
my home number is 270-444-7845.
Okay, and an email.
Keeney3, Keeny, and the letter 3, at bellsouth.net.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you, this has been a real
Oh,
education
it's been
today,
so
Kathy.
informative.
And we really appreciate you taking time to come down and share these things with us.
It's
and bringing
always
us-
fun to be around you. And it's always great to have pets around.
And thank you for bringing the plants
Oh,
and
yeah,
showing
thank
us
your
those
mother-in-law
today.
for helping so much, okay?
We very much appreciate your willingness to have the viewers contact you if they have questions. And
No problem.
And
no problem.
we've given some real good tips and ideas today. So I just think this has been a very educational thing. I know it has been for me, and I'm
Oh, it
sure it
has.
has for our viewers. So
And we look forward to a part 2 in the future.
yes.
We can do that.
Wonderful.
We can do that.
Well, in closing,
Thank you. Yes. This is Angie, and I'm Darlene.
and I'm Greg and Wicket, and we want to remind our viewers what we tell you every time. Give your pet a little extra love today
And every day.
See you next time.
Bye.